Which sweet food is produced by bees? Honey. Where can people go to borrow books? Library. Bibliotheca. Who is the main journalist responsible for producing a newspaper or magazine? Editor. Which one word is used for a brother or sister? Sibling. What is a list of historical events arranged in time order? Chronology. Timeline. Which day of the week starts with th? Thursday. What kind of equipment is used to protect motorbike riders' brains from injury? Helmet. What do we call the line between a sunset and the sea? Sea sky line. Horizon. A business doesn't want to make a loss, what does it want to make? Profit. Profits. If telescopes are used to locate distant objects, what instrument is employed to magnify minuscule objects? Microscope. Microscopes. What special document do most people need to carry when they travel between countries? Passport. In the animal kingdom, is the purpose of camouflage to attract a mate, to find food, or to hide? Hide. How many days are in a leap year? 366. Who would you consult to treat a fear of crowded places? A philosopher or a psychologist? Psychologist. There are two main ways to pay for goods bought in a shop. One is by cash, the other is by credit card. How do you call a student that has finished his first year? Sophomore. What kind of book is written by a person about their own life? Autobiography. Who is a person that makes bread, cakes and pastries? Baker. What is it called when two or more people are speaking to each other? Conversation. Chat. What is the job of someone that looks after your teeth and gums? Dentist. Surgeon. Dentist. Which organ is the blood pumped from? Heart. On what geographical location would someone be living if their country is surrounded by water on all sides? Island. What we call it when the moon completely blocks out the light from the sun? A solar eclipse. An eclipse. What do we call a period of 10 years? Decade. What do you call a specialist who repairs leaking water pipes? Plumber. What is the most important document you would have to show if you were to hire a car? Driver's license. Driving license. Which hospital department would you go for an X-ray, radiology or cardiology? Radiology. What is the joint called where your hand is connected to your arm? Wrist. Wrists. If a building is 1,000 meters high, from where do we measure the height? Sea level. Where do passengers stand waiting for a train in the railway station? Platform. How do butterflies fly? Flutter. A manufacturing process releases poisonous gases. What is the most important safety measure for workers at this plant? Ensuring good ventilation or appropriate footwear. Ensuring good ventilation. What do you need to submit for completing a degree in the university? Dissertation. Thesis. What key mineral makes seawater different from fresh water? Salt. Where would you expect to find equipment like microscopes, a Bunsen burner, beaker and Petri dish? Laboratory. Lab. How many days are there in a week? 7. What do we call a machine which carries people from one floor to another in a high building? Lift. Elevator. What is the name of the field of study that studies the human mind and behavior? Psychology. In a recession, does economic activity increase or slow down? Slow down. To which of our sense do all of the following words relate? Opaque, vivid, brilliant, shiny. Vision. How many years does it typically take to finish undergraduate study? 3 years. 4 years. Some calendars begin the week on Sunday. What is the other day which commonly starts a week? Monday. What is the economic sector that deals with farming? Agriculture. What is the antonym of vertical? Horizontal. What kind of liquid do mammals feed their babies? Milk. How many extra days in February in a leap year? 1. How many years are there in a decade? 10 years. What is the meeting point of sea and sky called? Horizon. How do you describe the type of magazine that is published 4 times a year? Quarterly. How do you call the 2 siblings born by a mother at the same time? Twins. How do we call the car that uses 2 types of fuels? Hybrid. If a button has come off a shirt, what would someone most likely use to put it back on? Needle. Thread. What do we call the piece of paper that proves you have bought an item? Receipt. What is the famous canal linking the Mediterranean Sea with the Indian Ocean? Suez. How many times a year is a quarterly journal published? 4. What do we call the liquid which is in a car? Gasoline. Petrol. Gas. Fuel. In statistics, what is a circle divided into many parts called? Pie chart. What is the ceremony called for marriage? Wedding. What is the opposite of division in mathematics? Multiplication. What is the collection of pictures called? Album. Which kind of book can we find Africa maps? Atlas. What do we call the animals with white ivory and long trunk? Elephant. Elephants. Which one is past tense? has gone, went or going. Went. What is the thing you touch when you play the guitar? Strings. String. What is the opposite to predecessor? Successor. What does a sundial measure? Time. What is a part of the digestive system and is essential for churning food? Stomach. What kind of dictionary provides synonyms, antonyms and related words? Thesaurus. In the library, which books we are not allowed to bring them out with ourselves? Closed reserve book. Closed reserve books. What material is used for most of vehicles and craft? Metal. Plastic. Glass. A dozen is a grouping of which number? 12. What is the name of the student who has not completed his course? Undergraduate student. Which part of our bodies do we use nasal spray in? Nose. Nostril. What are the strings on shoes? Shoelace. Lace. What is the opposite of positive? Negative. What do you call the medicine that is used against headache? Painkiller. Painkiller. What is a word or expression that has the same or nearly the same meaning as another in the same language? Synonym. What does ophthalmologist specialize in? Eye operations. Eye. What kind of food that vegetarians do not eat? Meat. The instructions that tell you how to cook food. Recipe. Recipes. Which kind of mountain can erupt lava? Volcano. Volcanoes. What do we call the Times New Roman in Word? Typeface. Font. What is the opposite word of stale? Fresh. Which is easier to be recycled, plastic or paper? Paper. If a couple have a pair of children, how many children do they have? 2. What do we call the extra performance that actors give? Encore. What type of shape has 4 right corners, 4 lines that are equal in length? Square. What do we call a person who can speak 2 languages? Bilingual. Bilingualist. What is the feature that guitars and violins have in common? String. Strings. What stellar system do the planets, such as Saturn, Jupiter, belong to? Solar system. What do we call a festival, which is held every 4 years gathering people together as a sporting event? The Olympic Games. What does the sun do during dawn? Sunrise. Which one is quicker? Running, jogging or walking? Running. How many hemispheres does the equator divide Earth into? 2. What is a thermometer used to measure temperature? What kind of drugs are used for killing bacteria? Antibiotics. What do we call a doctor who can sell prescribed medicines? Pharmacist. Chemist. What do we call the first paragraph of a report? Introduction. What is the opposite of convex? Concave. Who is the Swiss greatest scientist in physics? Einstein. Oral English is different from academic English. Which is the best term to describe academic English? Tolerant or rigorous? Rigorous. Which part of your leg can make it possible to bend? Knee. What will snow become after it melts? Water. Who sits in the cockpit of an airplane? Pilot. If you invented something, what can you apply for to prevent others copying your invention? Patent. What natural resource is used by a carpenter? Wood. Timber. In the word postgraduate, what does the post mean? After. Who is a physician who performs surgical operations? Surgeon. Before airplanes were invented, how did people travel from America to Europe? By ship. Which continent do China, India, Korea and Japan locate in? Asia. Which color do we make by blending black and white? Gray. What do the following belong to? Roses, daisies, tulip, etc. Flower. If you want to find the map of US, what type of book should you use? Atlas. How do you describe the money that citizens must contribute to the government for public use? Tax. Taxes. What material is the tire made of? Rubber. Which literary genre describes all details of a famous person's life? Biography. Autobiography. In mathematics and arithmetic, there are addition, multiplication, division. What's the other one? Subtraction. Which one is more widespread? Korean, Thai or Hindi? Hindi. What is the opposite of artificial? Natural. What is the hardest part of your hand? Nails. How do we call that animals and plants preserved in the rocks? Fossil. What do you use to test the body temperature? Thermometer. If you want to read tragedies or comedies, what kind of book do you read? Fiction books. Novels. How many wheels does a bicycle have? 2. What do we call the northernmost and southernmost parts of the earth? Pole. Poles. What is the music that is recorded for a movie or a film? Soundtrack. What do birds use to fly? Wings. What material are windows made of? Glass. Where do people go for watching sports or games? Stadium. When a person's blood alcohol level is higher than the standard range, what activity can't the person do? Driving. What is the room that is under the ground floor? Basement. What do we call a person who repairs cars? Auto technician. Mechanic. What is the place you share bedroom with your classmates? Dormitory. What do we call people who write songs? Songwriter. Composer. What do you call the government where the power is concentrated in the hands of one person? Autocracy. Dictatorship. What do we call the legal document that states how people's property should be allocated after their deaths? Testament. Will. In the solar system, which heavenly body produces sunshine? Sun. How do you call the doctor who treats sick animals? Vet. Veterinarian. Tomorrow's lecture has been cancelled. If today is Tuesday, then on which day is the lecture cancelled? Wednesday. How many years are there in a bicentennial? 200. What subject involves the study of the periodic table? Chemistry. What do we call the ship that runs underwater? Submarine. What is the thing which we use to turn the light off? Switch. Where do people go to watch plays? Theatre. What do we call the person who plays musical instruments as a job? Musician. How many sides are there in a pentagon? 5. What is the habitat of camels? Desert. What instrument would scientists use to examine very small life forms? Microscope. What force makes humans stay on the earth? Gravity.